Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Island and welcome to a podcast about role-playing. This is In and Out of Character, where we talk about not the characters, but the people behind the characters. I've always wanted to talk with other players about the various topics of role-playing, like character detachment, open versus closed role-playing, the extremes of dark RP, and how we can get addicted to role-playing. As well, I am very passionate about role-playing. It doesn't matter the platform, it's just something that I've always been interested in, so much that I have a YouTube channel called the Core Roleplayers Guild, where I'm trying to help improve the quality of role-playing, not for just myself, but for everybody. I'll leave a link in the description of this episode. This first episode, the pilot, is a rough version of what I want. Not only was it a means for me to talk about role-playing with somebody, but it was also a way for me to make sure that I have everything I needed to record. Today I have Keysloww here with me. We are just going to be talking about various topics in role-playing. In later episodes, you'll hear less talk about their OCs and more talk about the players themselves and their opinions. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, it's good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you as well. Yo, mind if I shout out my free company?
Yeah, man, go right ahead.
All right, it's Moonbrand and Accord. They're all pretty chill folks. So
Yeah, this is the first time I've done anything like this, so I'm sorry if it might seem like I'm a little bit unorganized. I wasn't quite sure how to approach this. I've been listening to podcasts literally all day trying to figure out how I wanted to make this work. So please forgive me if I sound like I'm jumbled. The truth is I am, but you know.
it's all right.
Oh man, it's finally good to hear from you. I wasn't expecting I don't know if you have anxiety getting on the phone with people. I absolutely cannot stand talking to people on the phone. So when I started doing this, I was like, oh god, that anxiety is there.
I enjoy calls on the phone, but it's more or less become something that I'm not really fond of.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that.
It's fine. Discord calls are fine. I just mean like phone calls.
No, I get that. I actually rarely join any sort of call. As a matter of fact, I think this is the first Discord call I've joined in probably over a year, maybe a year and a half, just because I don't talk to people all that much.
Yeah, I get that.
All right, so go ahead and just introduce yourself.
I go by Keysloww on Discord, but you can call me Key if you prefer.
Mm-hmm.
I would like it if you would not call me slow.
I have actually never thought of to call you slow before. I've always called you Keysloww or either Key when I was like doing editing work. I do a lot of talking to myself and I just keep referring to you as Key, and that's it.
I've gotten a few people who call me Keysloww, and I'm like, that's not how you pronounce it, but okay. Or something like coleslaw.
Coleslaw? Oh, no, I hate that. Today, I really wanted to just, since you are my very first victim in all of this, I am testing the waters for the most part. And I really just wanted to talk to somebody about role playing because you don't really get people communicating about how they came to role playing or where they came to role play or just what led them to this, because it's such an odd passion, isn't it? It's like an odd,
Yeah.
because you're getting online with a bunch of other random people. You do not know anything about them. You don't know their age, you don't know their sex, their location, nothing, completely different. It's almost like the people behind the characters don't matter, and it all stems on just what their avatar is or what their character they're playing is, and that's as far as it goes. And I've never understood why that is. I made this podcast, or the reason why I'm making this podcast is to sort of explore more topics in the role-playing community, more face-to-face with other, well, computer screen to computer screen, with other role players who've gone through and go out and live these other lives. So I guess what I'm really asking is, how did you get into role-playing Like period. Like what was the first steps you got?
Do you really want to know that?
Yeah, I want to know it. Also, to let you know that this is not a. I have never considered role playing in MMOs mostly to be kid friendly. I know
Yeah,
kids.
I
I
get
know
that.
kids get into it. So what I'm trying to say is, feel free to curse if you need to.
All right. Okay, so this is actually pretty cringe. How I got into RP was about I'm currently 19.
Mm-hmm.
I turned 19 around on the 4th of this month, actually, so not that long ago. I actually got into RP when I was 12 on Roblox.
Wow, 12 on Roblox. How?
I was 12. I was 12 years old, so it's yeah.
Oh no, no. Okay, so I don't blame you. I think I started role playing. I think I started role playing. I think my very first taste of role playing was D&D back with some friends, and I was like, oh, "This is the coolest thing ever!" And I was like, "I get to act as this badass." Eventually, what wound up happening is my friend begged me to get into World of Warcraft, and that was World of Warcraft Vanilla. And I was like, "Okay, I'll get on World of Warcraft with you. I'll play World of Warcraft with you." He gave me his old beat up shitty laptop to do it. I noticed while I was making my character, like when you go to create the servers or find your server, that there was role playing servers. I basically ditched my friend to go role play in World of Warcraft.
That's actually exactly what I did with my cousin whenever I got into WoW. So I first started playing on, I think it was Lightbringer. I'm not entirely sure on WoW. And then about like around, I started playing around like late Warlords of Draenor, and then I quit shortly after because I had Warlords of Draenor, then came back after that. So
If you can remember this, what led your 12-year-old brain to say, I want to role play in Roblox? Or did you just sort of stumble across it and be like, oh, I like this?
it was a common game I played. Roblox is a common game I played back in my like early childhood, kind of. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I
Oh,
guess it was sort of had to do with my cousins because them and my brother, they were the ones who usually played with me. And my best friend currently, he played most. He's not really into RP anymore.
mm-hmm.
And my cousins still play it on Roblox to this day, even though they're grown adults, which is hilarious, honestly. But what led me to it was I was just basically just going through a game once. And when I first got into it, I actually thought all the characters there were NPCs. So it didn't hit me till later that, oh, these are actual players.
Oh my goodness. So I mean, if you can, and I understand if you can't, because it's obviously a big jump. How did you get from role playing in Roblox to role playing in Final Fantasy 14, which is where I met you?
Okay, so I quit Roblox shortly after I grew up. So,
Right.
um, and then I got into WoW. Started playing on Lightbringer there, and I played with my cousin, my aunt and uncle for a bit. And then I was going through the server list one day, and I saw roleplay, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Okay, so I transferred all of my characters there. Then I made Ithrin, my first Blood Elf character the first character I made on Wormrest, which was actually ended up being my main, which my Death Knight before. Ithrin was probably one of the most unique characters I've ever made in any RP because he had a mechanical arm that was that was powered by foe.
Mm-hmm. Which is really cool. I like that.
Yeah, a lot of people did. And then after I started actually getting to the RP on WoW around the early Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Around BFA was when I kind of had enough with Blizzard in a way.
Yeah.
And then I tried Shadowlands. It was promising kind of in the beginning, and then like most other people, I just left WoW. And then my friend from WoW who left to Final Fantasy messaged me on Discord and told me that they would be willing to have me in their free company on here. So I decided that fuck it, I don't have anywhere to go. So I decided to join up, and then a lot of personal stuff happened shortly after that, and then I ended up having to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I've found actually a very good, I guess you would call them family because that's what I consider them kind of in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I said earlier, Moonbrain and Cord, they're pretty fucking chill. So two of them, or one of them technically, is actually from my back in my WoW guild.
It's really interesting to see someone go from Roblox all the way to Final Fantasy.
I
Uh,
mean, there's a sorry for interrupting, but there was like a huge leap between those two. So
Yeah. Did you try anything else in the meantime? Like, did you try like forum role playing, or did you try like Discord role playing, or like I don't know. I think there's like a Minecraft role playing server out there.
I attempted Minecraft like during the whole Roblox thing, but I couldn't really get into it because I didn't really like Minecraft as much. 'Cause I
Mm-hmm.
considered it more of like a creative to create, like not more of a RP game really. I considered it more of a,
Hmm.
I guess, what most people play Minecraft as. Discord RP, I did that quite a lot actually. I actually made a server with a whole bunch of my friends from there, and I actually still keep in contact with a few of them. Most of them don't actually play games anymore since everyone's pretty much all grown up. So
I got you.
uh,
You'll still find us old people out there.
yeah,
I am 30 and I started role playing. I'm pretty sure a little bit around maybe the age of 15 is like when I first really started. So you'll find some people who are just like really passionate about it and really want to get into it and just love making characters. But I mean, if somebody grows out of role playing, it's absolutely fine. It's not for everybody.
I've more or less always been the kind of person who likes to who enjoys themselves as like while they're writing stories and stuff through Google Docs and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
that's I can't really see myself growing out of RP anytime soon. I was around 17 whenever I started playing WoW RP,
Mm-hmm.
and I switched over to Final Fantasy shortly before I turned 19. I joined Final Fantasy earlier this year, actually. So
Are you like me and have a hard because when I play any MMO, I always just divulge in the RP and I never play the game. Matter of fact, some of my free company friends right now are begging me to please play the main story quest line because I have never made it past a Realm Reborn. This is the same in every single MMO I've played. I never actually play the game. I always just stop. I go to the nearest role playing hub and I just dig my fingers into it and until I can find like a home for myself and my character.
it's funny that you actually mentioned that because one of my good friends actually she would always get on to me for not wanting to RP whenever she wanted to RP because I was whenever she wanted to RP I was doing main story quests and stuff, and whenever I wanted to RP she was doing that stuff. So it was like, yeah,
You guys never just decided to do it together, or were y'all like too far apart?
we ended up actually doing it a bit together. It was fun actually. Actually had my character get himself stabbed in the kidney once by a void sense. So that was fun.
Void Sent, correct me if I'm wrong. So again, I don't know too much about Final Fantasy 14 yet. I know enough to get by and to have a good scene with everybody else, but there are still some things that just I haven't learned yet. Like I don't know too much about the Void Sent, and as far as I understand it, they're basically this world's demons.
I think that's basically what it is. Yeah, I'm not really too sure what they are really, but I do know one thing. Do you know what Gaelic hats are? Gaelic
Uh,
hats?
no.
They're like the flying cats with bat wings and Ishgard, I think, Heaven's Word.
Mm-hmm.
Those are actually considered void sense, technically. And do you know the fat cat mount off the box station?
I do
What's
know that. Mm-hmm.
That's a void scent.
Really?
Yeah, it says in the description it's a void scent. I don't know what it is with Square Enix and their minion descriptions and pet descriptions, but some of them are pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask you like some questions about your character?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so when I first met you, I whispered you and had you do. I asked you a crazy question to help me with another project of mine, and so far it's just been a blast knowing you. But I actually don't know shit about your character, which is fine. Actually, I don't know a lot about anybody's actual characters who have helped me in my projects. I know that your character is a how do you pronounce it? Makito?
Oh no. That's my character's a here.
Oh,
He
a
used to
Thir.
be. I did a Fantasia on him a while ago
Mm-hmm.
and turned him into a Makote, but
Why?
I turned him back into a here because I kind of got bored of. I don't really know much about Final Fantasy race lore, so
Mm-hmm.
I tend to try to avoid that really.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll eventually look more into it. I plan on doing that soon. Actually, I should probably start doing that since my character technically is in a relationship with a Makote.
Well,
Um,
that's actually an interesting. It's interesting that you brought this up because there's just so much lore in any game you go into that it's like I can sit here and do all the research, but I guarantee no matter how much research I do, I will always get to the point where it's like I'm missing something. There's something I don't understand, or something that just doesn't click with me, or I'm just not going to remember it all. I am a father of two. I have a hard time already remembering birthdays and who to call in my day. So I do not know if I can remember all the lore. So I think actually it's smart to just you can play a character and not know a super lot about their lore, about the lore of the race itself.
I normally tend to play more of the human races in most games I play.
Hmm.
Like I didn't play human back in WoW mainly because I didn't like the way the humans looked. They looked
Big,
way too beefy.
big, beefy. Yeah.
I played a Blood Elf since surprisingly that I consider that looking more human than the other one.
Hmm.
You're asking about my backstory, my character, and everything. Or?
Yeah. Go ahead and just tell me about your character.
Keysloww is like I've shit on him multiple times. He's basically had his heart broken like so many times. It's hilarious at this point.
Hmm.
I consider myself a terrible person when it comes to this. So Keysloww, he pretty much grew up in a mansion with his two brothers and his parents,
Hmm.
and his twin brother actually came at home one night with his friends, and Keysloww was like, "Okay, forgive me if I insult anybody by this, but like Keysloww was technically considered a femboy before I brought him back after I
Hmm.
turned him into a Makote.
Hmm.
He now has an ego bigger than the size of my fucking head. So he grew up in the mansion with his two brothers and parents, and pretty much he says here that he didn't really pay any attention to it since he was speaking with his father and his brother. And then he went back up to his room and walked in on his brother actually standing over his quote unquote friend's corpse. And this began the part of Kieslow's life where he would be continuously shit on. So he walked out of the room slowly before it noticed him, and then his twin brother threw a knife aimed directly at his face. The blade just barely flew past his face and cut the skin on the bridge of his nose, causing blood to run down his face. And his older brother, Seath, heard all the commotion and then hurried to the other room to see what was happening. Long story short, In was on the ground being beat, basically his face being beaten in by Seath because of this. And Keysloww was shortly taken out of the house into the town where he was treated shortly after. And then it says on here, a month later, In resumed his suspicious activities, and while everyone was sleeping, In was too busy spreading oil around the house. Keysloww woke up suddenly after hearing a loud noise from downstairs, and then he'd get out of bed, go down the stairs, check it out, and then he'd be staring face to face with a fire. So this caused his house to burn down. His all of his brothers got out, but his parents were nowhere to be found. I actually plan on bringing them back up in like a future RP event. After that, Kislow's parents were never to be seen again, and he was taken in by his brother and was taught how to use firearms to protect himself and stuff. And then after that, he met his brother's mentor slash girlfriend, Lila, who I also plan to bring into RP as a villain, actually. Keystone would pretty much be fanboying over the fact that Lila was so skilled with a scythe, which eventually caused him to pick up this type of weapon for himself. Seath, I guess, noticed this and then spoke to her about it, and they both agreed that it was time for him to begin his training. He began living with both of them, and pretty much, although I totally didn't rip this last part off of an anime I watched.
To pause you right quick, I want you to know that I often take scenes from movies because I, as much as I love to roleplay, am not a smart human being. And I think it is perfectly fine to do this because sometimes as people who are creative, we lose our creativity. And it is so hard to come up with a engaging scene, but you really want to get it out there.
Yeah, I get you. That's pretty much what I did with her in the last part because, like, I was watching this show pretty much, and the dude, I guess he was ripped from his family at a young age, and he was forced into a military or something, and then he was eventually taken in by a assassin who ended up becoming his mentor. Just says here that after years of training, which eventually led him to be proficient with a scythe. While Seath was gone, Keyslow began to do like mercenary work, sort of, for Lila for the Grand Companies, not knowing that Lila was suffering from an serious illness that caused her health to slowly decline. Another part I ripped off from the anime. Pretty much what happened was he came back to home from one of his jobs and was informed about the illness. A few days later, he woke up, started his daily routine, made breakfast for the two of them, and then knocked on her door. And 30 minutes of her not responding, he decided to pick the lock to the door, something his older brother taught him to do quite well, actually, and noticed that she was still in bed. And then he went to go check her pulse and didn't feel one. Seath would eventually come back after that, only to be greeted by one of them, which he was informed shortly after about her sudden passing. That was the first time I shit on Seath from my two characters.
Mm-hmm.
Then they buried her and everything, and Keysloww took this time to decide that he was ready to go out and live on his own. So when Seath returned home, Keysloww discussed with this with him and went on his way, but not before being given Lila's scythe by Seath. This is actually where it actually gets dark, where I guess character development sort of starts for Keysloww. He took up a job and was greeted by the other members in his group. And he set off to begin camping out in the Black Shroud. And he was woken up by what seemed to be noises of someone moving around outside his tent. And as he left the tent to investigate, he was ended up being knocked out by one of the members of his party. He woke up tied up in the tent as the other members began taking turns viciously attacking Keysloww, using all sorts of tools for his beating, leaving him basically bloody and somewhat broken. During this beating, I guess the ropes that were used to hold Keysloww began to tear, eventually setting him free. This caused Keysloww to snap and took a hold of the scythe. Then he brutally and mercilessly slaughtered each of them as they attacked him as he blacked out. Pretty much what happens is my character has a tendency to, I guess, space out for a minute and say some pretty dark fucking shit. So he like has a, I joke about it and call it edgelord switch, but
Mm-hmm.
it's caused by his this whole PTSD kind of thing, because he still has traumatic memories from this, because this actually began haunting him years later afterwards. And then this last part kind of just skips like to present day, kind of to where he got rid of the scythe that previously he held dear to him, realizing that it only brought hurtful memories to the surface. He took up traveling and wandered to Eorzea like his older brother, returning a year later to spend time with his family and friends. He had an extremely bad stutter back then as well. So bad that I actually dreaded typing it, which is one of the reasons why I actually ended up Fantasiaing him into a Makote, which was named Kiri. Earlier this year, Keysloww actually got into some, I guess you would say his twin brother came back to be a bitch to him, basically, and took it a bit too far. So Keysloww had what I called an emotional support animal, which is a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually a pretty funny story. So I'm just hanging around my free company house, just chilling, listening to music in my voice chat with my free company, and then I just start. I'm looking up. I'm just thinking. I'm like, you know what? 1 to 50, he lives. 50 to 100, he dies. Or no, 1 to 50, he dies. 51 to 100, he lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm in a party with my RP partner at the time, and then I do /random 100, and I instantly get a 1. So,
Oh no.
and then my RP partner just hears me just gonna drag Hockey off of the hot bar real quick, because that's the name of the dog. It was
Okay.
a name. And then later on, I ended up having his twin brother sort of murder the dog in cold blood.
If you don't mind me asking, like what led you to want to have like a dark like a s- oh, I don't know if this is like a super dark story or whatnot, but just a dark background for your character. Like what was your thought process when you made this character?
Well, normally when I make, no, I made most of my characters from WoW and everything have dark backstories.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like kind of like really into that kind of stuff. I enjoy reading horror stories and everything, and I actually enjoy reading stories about characters who like die and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an asshole. I'm sorry. Uh, so normally whenever I make these kind of characters, I cause that tragic backstory to affect who they are as a person. And when I was making Final Fantasy, I had two options for personality for Keysloww, because I already basically planned my character before making him. I could either make him into a complete asshole or make him into a shy and timid person who's been through hell, but
Mm-hmm.
still doesn't let that affect him as a human being.
Well, human being. I think everybody in the audience knows what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's the generic human race.
yeah.
Man, you would have had a blast in DC Universe Online, which is another MMO that I roleplayed in, because um, nobody was a fucking human. Excuse my language. Nobody played.
I actually played human back when I played DC Universe Online.
Oh man, did you ever roleplay in it?
Sadly, no.
Oh, it was so great. So
I'm sure it was, honestly.
when you come to role playing, and feel free to interject and put your own opinion in here as well, because again, this is a conversation between both of us. When you go role playing, you understand that there's a set of social roles when it comes to role
Yeah,
play.
yeah, yeah.
You're not the warrior of light. You're not Thrall's and Jana Proudmoore's lost son from the future, yada yada yada.
Sorry, the way I see it, people who do that might as well go to fucking Roblox RP because that's what they do there.
Do they?
Yeah.
Like I don't mind that sort of stuff in very close like role playing, but those are one of the things. It's like I do not want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
When it came to DCU online, it was the wild west of role playing. I'm not kidding you. It was if your
I'm
character
sure it
if
was.
your character had a story, it it mattered. It was a thing. It happened. Okay, that's it. As long as it
You're making you're making me want to re-download DC Universe Online.
yeah, it's good. It was so much fun, but it was so. I think that's honestly one of the reasons why role playing in DC Universe Online is so difficult to maintain because it's been on and off for years. I still keep my fingers in it the best I can, but you'll hear whole groups just pop up out of nowhere to start role playing, and then immediately, like maybe 6 7 months after that, you'll see them drop off again. You still have a couple of groups that have been long going role playing groups, but it didn't matter if you were from the future. It didn't matter if you were some clone from the past built by the League of Shadows to of Superman's to come back and kill the Joker. As long as A, your character didn't actually kill the Joker, and B,
Injustice, like,
yeah, as long as you're the general consensus for role playing in DCU was you cannot be stronger than the big ones, and you can't be like your character can't be so damn important that the whole story has to revolve around them. Was generally the whole thing. Like you're not role playing Lex Luthor. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um,
Other than that, it didn't matter. You could anything, play anything.
the last character I made on DC Universe Online was actually a meme character. Um, so are you familiar with the child cartoon Caillou?
Caillou, is that the one?
It's the one with like the bald kid with the yellow T-shirt and everything.
No, I'm sorry. Oh wait,
I,
hold on. Maybe.
so I basically made Caillou in DC Universe Online. It was actually pretty fun.
Let me hold on. I'm gonna Google this real quick. Hold on. Caillou. Caillou.
It's like like a Nick Jr. or I don't even know. It's a child cartoon
Oh,
and
I
stuff.
have absolutely no idea what this is. I have never seen this before in my life.
Yeah,
Oh, this artwork is horrifying. This is
I know, right?
scary. As an adult, like as a kid, I probably would have loved it. But as an adult, I don't want to see this ever.
That's why it's a kid show. But yeah, I made Caillou on there, and I have a serious character, but he's not on PC. He's on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
His name is. I name changed him like 6 times because each name I made was cringy as fuck. So
So back to your character. You were talking about like dark role playing and how you normally go back to like you like horror and spooky stuff. Do you try to implement that love for horror into your role playing?
I haven't actually done that yet, but I eventually plan on doing that sometime in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not really sure how I'm gonna do it, but I plan on doing it. I might end up doing it whenever Endwalker comes out, and I'll pick up Reaper class. So
Right.
that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to pick up Reaper because like it seems like something that would draw attention to like
Mm-hmm.
spooky and horror RP, and that's kind of where my favorite stuff is at.
Yes, and everybody who has the glamour of the scythes from the store can now actually just play the class and get other scythes.
Yeah, that's what I have. That's actually what I used for Keyslow's scythe in his original story.
Yeah, I am trying my hardest right now to introduce a little bit of horror into my own character's role playing, but I'm doing it in like through a journal in our own like in my free company's Discord, and I've noticed that it really just feels like I'm just sort of like yelling at the wind because I don't know how to implement the cosmic horror sensation that I wanted to express with this character. And so if you or anybody out there who's listening can figure that out, please, for the love of God, tell me.
I could probably see what's up and try to help you with it later if you'd like.
Feel free to. You can read over the journals if you like. My character is insane. I don't know why. I when I first made her, I did not think that I would be going down this route. There are some things that I am now implementing that I honestly thought I was just gonna like throw to the wind and never actually fulfill. And one day, my um, free company companions, they start like writing in their journals, and I was like, I want to write in a journal, and I want to express character development. Can I have some of that sweet, sweet serotonin, please? And I tried my best to, like I said, implement a bit of like cosmic horror, but I'm still trying to do it that is true to the lore of Final Fantasy, if that makes sense.
My personal recommendation would, since technically we are going to the moon in Walker, that might be able to help.
I know. I'm so excited about this. Can I please tell you why I'm excited about this?
Why? What's
Okay,
up?
so my character has a fear of the sky. I am not shitting you. So, my character, she is from Soy no Sato, which is of course, the underwater village. She did not see the sky until like she was already 16, so she didn't actually see the sky until then. And the first thing that she saw was the night sky, which scared the shit out of her because and I took this again. We were talking about implementing them in your role playing. Did you ever play Dragon Age?
I did actually. I played Dragon Age
Hmm.
Origins and Dragon Age
The
Inquisition.
dwarves who are always underground, when they come up, you can talk to a few different dwarves, and they'll be like, I just don't understand how you guys can not be underground. It feels like the sky is just about to suck me off the floor and take me away. I implement a lot of that fear and anxiety into the character. So she wears a head wrapping. So the fact that we're about to go to the moon is the absolute best thing ever.
I'm gonna enjoy it whenever we go to the moon as well. Did you see the you know the small moon rabbits? I guess
No, I haven't seen any of the stuff. All I know is that we have reapers and sages coming, and that we're going to the moon, and that if we do not fight Yoshi P as the final boss, or we do not fight Bahamut with a Yoshi P mask on, I will be very upset.
I that would be nice. Honestly, I don't see it happening, but that would be nice.
A man can dream. I was really hoping that we would have Blitzball, but whatever. It's okay. Yeah. Please tell me you know what Blitzball is.
Which
I'm gonna please let me include this in the podcast.
you can. You can. Fun fact: this is the first Final Fantasy game I played other than Mobius, and I'm not ashamed of that.
Oh, that's fair. Final Fantasy isn't for everybody. Of course, not every game is meant for everybody, but
I honestly, I never really was a fan of it until I learned about Final Fantasy 14.
mhm.
So
Well, that's fair. I mean, a lot of people come to this game for the role playing aspect, and it's not a bad game to role play in. You've got your houses, you've got your tavern, you've got free companies, you got so much to do in this game that can set up really good scenes for characters. So I love this game for role playing.
honestly, I feel like if I would have gave Final Fantasy like an actual chance, I would have been like more into it. Then so far, I'm loving Final Fantasy 14, and I can't see myself really quitting or going back to any of the other games I played
Mhm.
before.
Did you besides for World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy, did you ever try any other MMOs?
I played Perfect World International. That was a really fun game to play, actually. Gotta get nostalgia just thinking about it. I played that a lot. I played Terra Online a bit.
Hmm.
I ended up actually hating it, honestly, because of the gender lock crate classes and
Right. I
everything.
I also hate that too.
Black Desert, it's the graphics and everything. I enjoy how deep the customization is, but again, gender lock and everything. So
I can tell you
I
that I've actually never even seen Perfect World International until right now. I'm looking at it.
it was a good game. It really was a good game. It's outdated,
Mhm.
I guess now,
Mhm.
but it was a really good game.
Oh man, no, I there are some games out there that I love to death, and I loved role playing in, that I really wish were still around. Like, what was it? It's a game that ended about 2 years ago. It was Wild. Wildstar? Yes, Wildstar.
I heard about that. I never actually got into it
It
though.
was so cool because you would get these plots of lands and you could build on these lands. It was basically like having your own housing, and people built these sprawling cities on these landscapes, and you could actually connect them with other players. So one player would have one part of the city, another player would have another part of the city, and it would be this giant thing that you could go exploring with your friends and role playing through. It was so cool, and it spoke to me as a person who loves B-list movies, like really silly B-list movies. You know, what I'm talking about like Trimmers and stuff like that. It really spoke to me because it leaned heavily into that genre, and then it, of course, got canceled. So that was unfortunate.
Other than PWI and Terra and Black
Hmm.
Desert, I played obviously DC Universe Online, but I played that back on console.
Hmm.
Back when I was younger, I used to play Adventure Quest, Adventure Quest Worlds. I don't play that anymore though.
But nothing you like. Did you ever try to role play in these things, or was it those were just like MMOs you played?
I tried to roleplay in I tried to roleplay in Terra, but I could never actually find. I don't even think there was an RP community there.
Hmm.
I guess I did RP back in Adventure Quest when I was younger, and I didn't really realize I was RP. There was a lot of weird stuff back in Adventure Quest. Now that I think about it,
Hmm. Oh, actually, that leads me into like the next sort of stuff that I wanted to ask you about. Like, I really want to ask you, how has your role playing experience been in Final Fantasy so far? Like, has it been good? Has it been like weird? Has it been? I'm gonna say this, and of course, this is an explicit podcast. I'm sorry, kiddos. I feel like Final Fantasy has had the most amount of people looking to bang at any given moment.
oh my god, that isn't the shittiest thing I've fucking
I
heard in the
love
past
all
year.
forms of role playing, but when I came to Final Fantasy and I really sat down in it, it was everywhere. And I am not going to sit here and call people creeps because it does happen, whether you like it or not. It does happen. Okay, cool. If that's what you want to do, awesome. I prefer fading to black, but it was just everywhere, and the offers come frequently.
This is true. This is very true. I've actually been sort of
Hmm.
kind of avoiding all of that kind of RP in a way because I don't want that kind of RP to
Hmm.
define my character's relationship. It
Hmm.
sort of has happened in past RP. I'm trying to make this shit wholesome. Like I don't want this shit to be like no horny. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Right. And I agree, because you want to actually experience a character and see all these different aspects and these different spectrums of your character.
You said you asked how my RP experience has been so far. Is that right?
Yeah.
So recently, okay, so here's context real quick. So my friends, my current free company leader, actually, he recently just got promoted. One of his character has like this. I don't know what it is, but it's like I guess it sends like a letter or something on on somebody's untimely death or something. Like they get touched with this spell.
Hmm.
So this spell was actually given to Keyslow's older brother recently, and whenever this happened, Keyslow was currently out on a date with his now lover because
Hmm.
he got shit developed last night actually. He got a letter from one of the free company members who was sent to watch over them because they were in Kugane and they almost went to the Rakuza area.
Hmm.
He got a letter from that, and it ended up actually being a letter that is from the whole spell thing that basically describes his brother's death. The reason I'm so excited about this exact part is because the way I did this, it's sort of going to be an RP event that I plan on doing during Endwalker, because on the letter it says the name of the person who died,
Hmm.
their cause of death, their location of death, and their time. And if I got to do a roll, and if it's like over 70, it shows the who killed them, but I got like 40. So pretty much what happened was it said obviously Seath Blackhaven, cause of death, multiple stab wounds in the gut and large wounds in the chest caused by a large scythe polearm.
Oh.
Time of death was around like 1 o'clock in the morning, and location of death was actually New Charlayan or I don't know how to pronounce the area. Charlayan, I think, is that right?
Oh, I actually do not know. I have yet to be there. To be
Oh,
honest with you, I am not entirely sure of the area that you're talking about. I'm
it's
trying to, as you're talking, I have been trying to like look up the areas as you talk about them, so I can see what's going on. To be honest, I can't find the area.
It's an Endwalker area, so it's an area that's coming out. It's like the hub city for Endwalker, apparently.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
That's probably the reason why I can't find it, because I wasn't aware that
yeah,
it was an Endwalker. Again, I don't know jack dilly squat about the new thing. I have never made it past, or like I said earlier, a Realm Reborn.
yeah. I basically skipped through Realm Reborn, Heaven's Ward, and shit, even Stormblood, sadly.
Hmm.
So I have an alt, which I eventually plan on going through the story there.
Hmm.
What I plan on for the whole RP event that I brought up is it's the reason why I had it in or Charlayan, I still don't know how to pronounce that city, is because for one, do you mind if I go slightly into detail about my other character who
Sure,
basically died?
sure. It doesn't matter for me. Go ahead.
So basically he's working as like a assassin sort of, and he went into a contract that he, I guess, considered personal, and the person who he was supposed to kill was actually somebody who was supposed to be dead, actually. And I guess you could probably figure that out because of the whole scythe and everything
Right.
through Keyslow's story.
Hmm.
Um, I had Keyslow. The reason I killed this character off is mainly because I'm going to be bringing Lila, which is Keyslow's former mentor, into like my actual playable characters.
Hmm.
I hate leveling characters, honestly, so
No,
I've been just
it
intaging.
is. I understand.
I eventually have her being played as like my villain character,
Hmm.
because back on World of Warcraft, I had like a few good characters and a few villain characters. I had my rogue, which was a good character, my Death Knight, who was a good character, and my Demon Hunter and Warlock, who were complete bitches. So basically, I'm just excited for that whole RP event that I'm planning for Endwalker, honestly,
Hmm. And that's.
because of how.
I completely understand, because like I really want to start making events for people, but at the same time I have to sort of focus down on like the whole content creation thing, because my end goal of everything is to make better communication in the role playing community, because everybody comes to like everybody role plays for different reasons. Like I don't know about you, but like the reasons why I love to role play is because I like exploring myself through the eyes of my characters. I like to figure out why I do the things I do, using my avatars as a way to express that, and to see what happens, and to sort of look at everything from an outside point of view. And honestly, I feel like it's helped me out quite a bit to just be able to make events and just enjoy stories with people. Is I feel is just a wonderful reason to roleplay. If there is ever a reason to get online, to spend money, to spend time with other people you barely even know, it's to share a story.
I completely agree. Actually, I know some people who roleplay just for like I've heard of some people who roleplay it because they say they have really nothing else to do with their life, and I kind of find that icky. I guess I don't know, but I mainly roleplay it because I consider it like fun, and I've always been the kind of person who would like enjoy writing short stories and everything whenever they were bored.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like I can do that and also be social at the same time. So and hang out with people that I consider friends. So
Oh yeah. I'm also what I call an introvert extrovert. I love people. I have a very I don't even have a hard time being around people. But when I was younger, I used to just not want to know people. I didn't want to talk to people. I was very socially awkward, and but I still wanted, connections with other people. So I didn't want to be a hermit in my room. I just didn't know how to go out and communicate with people without seeming really weird. So I got into role playing mostly because I was just like, okay, I'm gonna use my character to help me meet people and to talk with people, and I've been at it ever since.
I've said introvert extrovert, right?
Yeah, mind you, that's probably not even really a thing. I wanted to go out to meet people, but anxiety just kept me from doing that when I was younger. So I used role playing characters to make that happen.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Actually, that's one of the reasons that I kind of did in WoW,
Hmm.
because I didn't really have any way to go out. Really, I had friends who would occasionally come and pick me up, but they all moved away out of where I live. So shit, I'm fucking I can't think.
No, man, you're good. Matter of fact, I was gonna say, you know what? If you're good, I feel like this was an excellent conversation. I myself need to be a little bit more prepared when I bring people in to have like more question setups, because I have a list of questions over here. I just didn't know how to present them. I feel like I myself need to get better at this, which I'm sure I will over time with repetition, repetition, repetition. But if you're good, I feel like we really hit it home. Like, I feel like this was exactly what I was looking for, a communication between two role players, people who just enjoy stories and enjoy getting online and talking with other people, talking about things that aren't really discussed with. At least nobody talks to me about them. I don't know about you, but nobody comes to me and was like, hey, this happened or this happened, and this is the reason why I got into role. Nobody talks to me about that stuff.
That's actually really, like, nobody really brings up how or why they got into roleplay.
Yeah, and I just
That I know of.
I feel like this is like something that everybody could benefit from, just to talk and communicate. Like I don't know if you play Magic, but there's a big thing in the Magic community where it's like, you have to have your pre-game discussion about what decks you're bringing to the table and stuff like that. Just I imagine what the role-playing community would be like if we just sat down and talked about things from like extremely dark role-playing to extremely silly role-playing to open world versus closed world to erotic role-playing to just all this different stuff that we honestly should be talking about, except we don't for some reason. Anyways, I feel like I've taken up enough of your time. We've been at this for about an hour now.
I appreciate joining though. It was fun.
That's everything for this week. The next episode will come out on October 21st, 2 weeks from today. This podcast is coming out bi-weekly, occurring during the first and third Thursday of the month. Next time, we're going to be talking to a very old role-playing friend of mine about role-playing dragons. I truly hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I appreciate the time you've given me today. If you would like to, you can join us on Discord. I encourage you to join, as this is not the only role-playing project that I am doing. Links in the description, and I hope to see you on this long, long journey.